Warning: this program contains strong language, auditory violence, and mental nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions. This is Unshackled Fury.
We've taken the fight to the enemy and beaten back the shadows as the light returns once again. So welcome back for episode 152, your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions, Unshackled Fury. I'm your host, Berserker, and with me once again is the one-man demon party known as Mr. Jez Gordon. Welcome back again, good sir.
Hello. We are back again, and hopefully with fixed audio this week, although I don't know if people could tell. We had audio issues last week, and if anyone listens to my other Xbox podcasts, they'll be very familiar with my audio issues.
Listen, I said it up front. I said, it was a live-ish show, so if there was some hiccups or fuck-ups or whatever, that's just how it goes. So I preemptively got you an out, so it was okay. It was all right.
But your elite editing skills seems to have smoothed over the worst of it. So
I've fucked up
very,
enough
very
that I try to learn, how to cover up my own mistakes. the true talent of any podcaster. It's not the content; it's the editing skills. I mean, that's really where it comes from. But we're back once again to make some more cinema, as we come to say, and I don't know about you. I'm pretty sure we've talked about this a bit in the last couple of weeks, but I enjoyed Dragonflight, but I didn't enjoy Dragonflight like I'm enjoying this. Like the War Within, I'm feeling something like, I enjoy this game. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But I really feel like I have fallen in love with Warcraft again in a way that I haven't in a long time, and it's hard to put my finger on, but it's like I feel that juice, that groove, that whatever that is in my brain, where I'm like every free moment I'm thinking about logging in and playing and questing and doing my shit. And I've already quested way more than I did in Dragon. Like there's something in the water, man.
I feel it's weird. Like, we haven't really talked about this, but I feel exactly the same way. I've been playing this game for 20 years, and I haven't felt this way about it since probably Vanilla and the Burning Crusade. Like even Wrath had like these, like the first tier in Wrath was a complete mess with the Nax was way undertuned, and there was a huge content drought, and then Trial of Crusader was absolutely the pinnacle of mid. So like a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for Wrath, but Wrath was honestly for me where the game started to be like, oh, they've started messing up a bit here. But this has just been fantastic. Like even the stuff that I was, because I'm writing my review right now for Windows Central, even the stuff I was ready to complain about, and we're going to discuss this a bit more later, but even the stuff I was ready to complain about, they announced this week that some of the stuff is already being fixed. Like some of the hero talents that were missing animations or flavor, they've gone above and beyond to start patching some of that stuff. So yeah, I'm incredibly excited about the War Within. I've even downloaded Warcraft Rumble, and so like when I'm not able to play, at least I can play with my little Warcraft Rumble figurines instead. So,
wow,
I got it bad, man. I got it bad.
That's the best way to get it. I mean, this is this is the time, and downloads for this fine little program seem to indicate. And welcome aboard. If you're new to the show, welcome. Thanks for downloading. Hope you subscribe and stick around and tell your friends and whatever else, because the show does exist outside of launch windows, just so you know. We do manage to grind it out the rest of the year when there's other stuff going on. But to all the new folks, welcome, glad to have you, and thanks for playing. Yes, we have, oh my god, we have a lot to talk about. Our goal today, because we talked about this last time, our goal today is to talk at the very least about the campaign, to go through the campaign zone by zone a little bit. This will not be some exhaustive deep dive everything about everything sort of episodes. If you're looking for that, you know, go to Live Laugh Lore, one of the other folks that does like deep dives, that kind of thing. But we are going to try to go through it, and there are spoilers everywhere. This is a whole spoilery episode, so if you haven't played it, you haven't played through it, you haven't played all the way through it, you haven't gone through the whole campaign, you haven't gone through the stuff this past week, and you want to save it, then hold on to this episode until you've done all that, because we're gonna go through it all, including like the big, huge, major stuff, including the thing that I alluded to last time that Jez and I were like, holy shit about. We're gonna talk about all this stuff today. So if you're looking to stay away from spoilers, this is your final warning. In that vein, I have a metal album of the week this week that Jez, I said before we started recording, I picked this one right for you, based on the thing I just alluded to, which won't be alluded to for very long because we are going to talk about it. But it's also very much in line with our community, our love of all things fantasy and this and that. So this week's album from 2019, Winter Saga by Windrose. And if folks don't know who Windrose is, they are an Italian power metal band, but a lot of their work is about dwarves and is very inspired by Tolkien's work. And if you look at the albums and the song names and this and that, you might recognize them, including on this album, the one super famous song I think they got, which is Diggy Diggy Hole, which has its roots from Yogscast, which is also has this, you know, World of Warcraft connection. And the song was sung like one verse by them, and then these folks picked up the cover that somebody else did of a whole song, and then they put it on this album. And it is a phenomenal listen to. It's not very long. It's only like 50 minutes, less than an hour. But all the way through, it's so fucking good. It fits right in the vibe of like World of Warcraft and everything else. And Jez, they are touring throughout Germany all next month.
Oh damn! It's weird. I don't remember hearing about the name of the band, but I do remember the name of the song "Diggy Diggy Hole" for some reason. I'm gonna blow your mind right now.
Okay.
Because you just mentioned Yogscast.
Yes.
I was in Ye Olde Goon Squad, the very first iteration of Yogs on the Venture Co. 20 years ago.
Wow.
I was in that guild.
No
with
shit.
Honeydew and all those guys. It was a strange time.
Full circle, baby.
Yeah, kind of. I highly doubt they remember me, but I was very briefly in their guild during the Mount Hygel tier.
They've been around a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
But then my PC blew up. Yeah, they used to upload the raids on YouTube, and Honeydew used to just do commentary over it, and the other guy, I think, who's been cancelled now, rank 14 warrior. All those guys, man. The Venture Co. was a legendary. Venture Co. Europe was a legendary server for drama. Absolutely legendary. So many very bad stories from that server. But yeah, it was a fun time, man. But then my PC blew up, so I couldn't stick around, sadly. But yeah, that's it is full circle.
Look at that. Right, look at that. Well, if you haven't listened to the album, I highly recommend it, because I just listened to it again while I was working on notes for the show and this and that, and it is a solid ass listen. But based on everything I've seen, because I've never seen them live, but based on what I've seen, their live show looks to be stupendous. So if I lived in Germany, I would try to find tickets to one of like the 5 or 6 shows they're doing across the country. And I know it takes a little while to get places, but y'all has, there's better trains than what we got, or at least better public transportation, I think. So maybe it's a little easier to get to. I don't know. I've never been there. I have to trust you. You tell me. How close is Wacken? That's the big one.
Wacken. Andy, how close is Wacken? How close is Wacken? It's by the sea. It's nowhere near.
Nowhere near. Okay. I know that's the big one. But there's ones all over the place. There's ones all over the place. So look at this. We're getting a live assist.
Nowhere near to me, I mean, at least. Yeah, live assist.
Live assist. Look at that. See, folks? Bringing it to you. So there you go. If you haven't heard of Windrose, they are one of the all-time great power metal bands. They're relatively new-ish compared to some of the older greats like Manowar and those sorts of things, but the stage presence, the songs, just the vibe of the whole thing, it very much fits with Warcraft, and it very much fits with where we're going to go today, especially the second zone that we're going to, and the very important story that was told there. So before we get to that, guys, I have a very important raid segment to get to today. And it won't take long, but it is an important piece that I got to get off my mind. So let's get into it.
Let's rage.
If you know anything about me, among other things, you know that I have a deep, deep and abiding, irrational, man crush on Varian Wrynn. I don't know what it is. I could take a few wild guesses. That was my boy. Forever, forevermore. Anduin, I don't know if we're brothers or he's my son or like what's going on, but we're all sons under the same banner of the Alliance and Stormwind, and yeah, that's how I roll, and that's how it'll always be. And I don't know, there's just something wrong with me. I think back, Legion was happening, and they announced that we're gonna do these artifact weapons, and I was like, well, I know you're gonna kill my boy. I don't like it. I still don't like it, but I know you're gonna do it. And listen, if he's going out in a cloud of smoke, in a puff of smoke, well, then something's got to be left behind. Charlemagne, his fine weaponry should be available to somebody. And I'm like, well, he's the warrior king. Clearly, it's got to be the warriors. Yes, war swords of the Valarjar. What the fuck is that? No. Where is Charlemagne? Well, we have better plans for Charlemagne. What do you mean you have better plans for Charlemagne? I can't transmog Charlemagne. I got fucking Thrall's gimmick over here, and I got Garrosh's gimmick over here, and I got this staff over here. We got all these other weapons of legend rolling around. Why not Charlemagne? No, we can't do Charlemagne. All this time has passed, Jez. One day, I open up social media, which was a mistake anyway, but
it's always a mistake.
Always a mistake. I see that in Diablo 4, they are now offering for the tidy sum of $28.
$28?
$28, 28 US American dollars. I could have Charlemagne and Varian's armor as a barbarian in Diablo 4, but I can't have it in World of Warcraft. I mean,
well, dude, Anduin's got it.
I know. But listen, what's that hammer that Thrall's always swinging around? Doomhammer. Doomhammer. Can't you transmog into Doomhammer?
He hasn't got it anymore.
He's holding it in this 20th anniversary art I'm looking at. Who's got it now?
He gave it to the Shaman class hall, didn't he?
I don't
know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he does have it again. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I did see those transmog sets. In Diablo, the Sylvanas set. I had to I had to cop that. I copped that set, and also the Xalatath set. I had to cop that as well.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. It doesn't cost $28 if you're a Microsoft Edge user, because with Microsoft reward points, which you get.
Jesus Christ.
And this is not an ad. It's a pro tip. If you use Microsoft Edge and Bing, which I do because I'm crazy, you get currency for Diablo, which means you can buy Charlemagne for free. if you hate yourself enough to use
Firefox
Edge.
forever. I don't love it that much. I love it, but I don't love it that much. I thought it was absolutely just hysterical that the greatest thing for like any warrior to have in World of Warcraft, you put it in another goddamn game. And it's like when they did Heroes of the Storm and they put all that great stuff in there, I was like, oh man, they got to port a lot of this stuff over to Warcraft, and almost none of that happened. And then they put it in Diablo 4, and I'm like, you're just teasing me. Like, you're just teasing me, and I don't like it. I've been very faithful to you. Here I am all these years later, and no. I got to pay $28 and go get it in another game.
Dude, it's even worse. Like, I've got Arthas's horse and his sword in Diablo 4 as well. And I can't even.
That's right.
It's not even a usable sword. It's just a trophy. It's just sitting there on my horse's back. You know, it's just like, oh yeah, it's just Frostmourne. No big deal. Just rolling.
Just chilling.
And his helmet as well, which Sylvanas broke. But yeah,
the Helm of Domination reforged on Sanctuary.
Yeah, on Sanctuary, yeah.
Unbelievable. Well, you know, somewhere in the Blizzard verse, I guess it's good enough that it exists and it's available somewhere. So if I really wanted to jump back into Diablo 4, I guess I could.
Yeah, well, if they do class halls again, maybe Warriors will end up with Charlemagne.
Well, now it's a priest weapon, apparently.
Well, yeah, possibly. I don't know. Varian's been quite warrior coded this story arc so far. He even did the Varian. Anduin, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been a bit Varian coded. He did the whole diving two-handed slash off of that, which very reference to Varian diving during Legion.
Direct.
Yeah. Very, very, very cool. I was like, I see what you're doing there. He's being a warrior because he can't use the light. Surely if he's a warrior that uses the light, doesn't it make him more of a ret paladin, kind of?
I made this argument way back when Battle for Azeroth came out, and I'm like, he's a paladin. Like, that's a paladin. He's fighting with a two-handed weapon, and he's blowing up with the light and like getting people up off the ground.
Plate.
That's a fucking paladin. Yeah, wearing badass plate. That's a paladin. And then a Broziabi, the long bereft of any morals, Alex Afraziabi came out and was like, no, he's a priest. He's just like priest plus or fucking whatever they called it. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. So anyway, there you go. If you really want it, Diablo 4, $28. It can be yours. But for me, I guess I'm just gonna stick with the badass Halifal plate set and swords out of there. That's what we're getting for right now. So like I said at the top, we're gonna talk about this campaign, this awesome campaign, the super fun campaign, and no more delays. Let's get it. Coming in for this campaign, we knew we were going to start with the destruction of Dalaran. That was a given. We knew it was going to happen. It was pretty much everywhere. If you saw anything about the PTR, there were big pieces of spires and shit on the ground. The two questions that we had coming out of that. One, was it like complete and utter and total destruction? Yes, it absolutely was. They've nuked that fucking place. I mean, that explosion in that cinematic that they had was no doubt. The second was the fate of Khadgar, because we kind of felt like, oh, something happened, and here we were at the end of sort of the lead up questing when we were there in Dalaran, and he goes in to fight Xalatath, and he hits her with the biggest blast in the history of wizard blasts, and she just kind of laughed at him and started blowing up her big big black bubble, and you could see him start to disintegrate a little bit, and then boom, that whole fucking place just went up like unbelievable explosion. I mean, shards and rubble, and there was no doubt. But I don't know about you, Jez, but I am of the belief, no body, no death. And I didn't see a body. So I wasn't convinced that he was dead from the get. So we go down somewhere in this Kazalgar. Don't know what the fuck this place is. And then we start fighting the Rubians, and we're meeting all the major players with our folks. Thrall, Jaina, Anduin, they're all there. We're finding survivors. Some people died, like Tiffany Cartier, the jewel crafting supplier in Dalaran. Fuck that person. I'm glad they're dead, because the stuff that they sold was way too expensive, and I can never afford it back when. So she can get bent. But we end up fighting Nerubians and figuring out what we're doing there, and then all of a sudden, poof, we got some Storm Riders coming out of nowhere. We meet Belgrim, and we end up flying ourselves over to Dornogal. First time flying into Dornogal. Jez, we talked about this already a little bit before. I was pretty impressed, and still am, with not just its visual presentation, but how Dornogal as a city is laid out, and kind of all the stuff that we have in there, both seen and sort of unseen. I've been really impressed with this place as a city so far.
I got mixed feelings about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong, but the sense of wonder that I had the first time I went to Dalaran in Wrath, and Dalaran with all its little secrets and its sewer and all that stuff, especially after the update as well, like when they added a bunch of new stuff to it and the class halls. I still think Dalaran's the best city they've ever made for WoW. But Dornogal's definitely up there. It's more interesting than Valdrakken, I think. And I suppose part of that is, it's a little bit more familiar. It's a little bit more Azerothian.
Easier to navigate, I think.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I suppose it makes sense that, it's a Titan city, isn't it? It's very orderly. It's very square. And it's very, very efficient.
Yes.
And, whereas like Valdrakken's a little bit more, all over the place. It's designed more for dragons and flying and stuff like that, I suppose, with these huge spires, which you can either fly up to, and then you run out of vigor, and it's like, oh yeah, there's a teleporter, and you teleport there. But yeah, I've enjoyed Dornogal a lot. It's a cool city. But I have to say though, I kind of think if there was ever an expansion where they could put auction houses in multiple cities, it probably would have been this one. Like, what if I want to, the little village in the Ringing Deeps, because they've now got on the map, there's like a castle icon, which tells you where the major settlement is in that area.
Yeah.
And I just sitting there thinking, like, I'd rather set my Hearthstone in the Ringing Deeps and have an auction house there instead. And of course, I don't have the dinosaur mount with the auction house on it. If I did, then I would. But I feel like I know Blizzard's logic is that they want the cities to feel busy and bustling and all that kind of stuff, which is fine. But I feel like this new, they've gone for a more compact world this time round compared to Dragonflight. So I think if there ever was an expansion where all three of the cities could feel quite busy, it probably would have been this one. And then maybe you could have had unique features in each city to encourage people to travel around a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Dornogal's great, so it's all right. It's fine. It's fine. No one.
No Dalaran, but it's better than Oribos. That's where we're at.
Oh yeah, Oribos. What's that?
Nobody remembers. Nobody knows.
I don't know. Just some weird fever dream, I think.
It must have been. Sweep that shit under the rug. So we end up in Dornogal. And, we have a little time to collect ourselves, and, we're outsiders. That's how we're kind of referred to out through this whole thing, is we're the outsiders coming in. We're bringing our war to their shores. Nerubians are fighting. All this chaos is going on. We have no time to mourn Khadgar, potentially. But the big sort of piece to this kind of early questing is the Core Way. The Core Way is the big chute, right, that goes down into the ground, takes us down to the Ringing Deeps, which opens up right into the rest of the places that we got to go. And so a lot of this early questing is meeting the folks that we need to meet there, opening up that Core Way. We meet up with Dagran. We meet up with Speaker Brinth, and we learn about these memory crystals that these memory gems that the Earthen have, and we're finding out about their inability to be woken, and there's all kinds of like little threads, right? All these little threads that start in here. But the main thing, right, is fighting back the Nerubians and getting access down into the Core Way. And we're introduced to delves. I've been enjoying the delves. I like being able to do the delves because this coming week, delves open up past level 3, and I'm ready for that challenge. I'm excited for that challenge. I think you said that your eye level was 580 something. What did you say?
589 now, I think.
Fucking hell. So you'll be able to blast through all 11, 12 levels like it's no shit. I think I'm at 575 or something like that.
I know life to man. I've got 2 characters over 580 now.
Damn.
Absolutely. I had a week off work, can just completely no life it.
Good man.
Non-stop.
Good man.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the new delves to see how hard it can actually get.
Yeah, that's gonna be great. Among the rest of the folks we meet, we learn about this council, right? This council that's in Dornogal, and they're not getting along, and there's people missing, and learn about the different types of Earthen, and we're getting that introduction into their society, this group that we've never seen. And for us folks that had early access, right, we did not have access to the Earthen. You could basically complete most of actually nobody did, because you couldn't complete the full campaign until this last week, I think, right? Yeah, I made an Earthen, but I didn't do anything with them. I should have.
I made an Earthen too, and I was like, I got too much stuff to do on my main, so I touched it.
It's a nice problem to have. We blew up a meadery. That was fun. We had to go. There was like a burrow happening with a spot where Nerubians were coming up on the Isle of Dorn, and so we had to blow up this whole meadery. And there was a sacrifice, and we lost Belgrim, who was a character I was really starting to enjoy. So never get too close to these folks. But shut them down, opened up the Core Way, and that's kind of where that first zone sort of ends in terms of the main questing. Is we get there, help fight back some Nerubians. We're helping to reconstruct this council. We're starting to build all our rep and do those sorts of things. But overall, I really liked Isle of Dorn. I still like Isle of Dorn. It's fun to fly around. There's lots of other little quests. There's one in particular I want to talk about later, but I thought it was a really gentle opening zone. Easy to get to, easy to fly around, easy to find stuff, lots of fun stuff to do. There's still good stuff to do. I thought it was a nice, solid introduction as a zone. How about you?
Yeah, I thought it was overall, again, really good, I think. But like you just mentioned, like I was just really starting to like Baelgrim. And and it reminded me, like, one of my criticisms of this zone is the breakneck pacing of it. We go from like we meet the main factions, the Oathbound and the Unoathbound. I forgot that.
The Unbound.
The Unbound, right. So the Oathbound are the ones who follow their edicts of the Titans very almost with religious dedication. And then the Unbound are ones who are like, look, the Titans are gone. They've been gone for hundreds of years. They've abandoned us. Let's just try and make our own way in the world. And they sort of live in separate, sort of situations where the Unbound sort of live in little settlements around the island, and then, the Oathsworn or whatever they're called, they stay in Donegal.
Mm-hmm.
And when we arrive, they're talking about how like they've been separated for hundreds of years, millennia even maybe. And then, like, over the course of a few quests, Baelgrim's entire perspective changes,
Yeah.
just because we've shown up. I think like the story with Balgrim having a change of heart, or even like the Unbound and the Oathsworn coming together and the Machine Speakers working out their stuff. I kind of feel like that probably should have taken place over the course of the entire expansion. It feels like they were like oh okay, like a couple of conversations later has undone hundreds of years of stony relationships.
Yeah.
See what I did there? Stony.
This is why you're a professional writer.
Yeah. So like, I did feel like the pacing was a bit off on that zone, but you know, we'll allow it because it's Warcraft at the end of the day. You know,
Yeah.
I don't expect Hollywood pacing delivery from Warcraft, but it could have been a little bit better. But I suppose like the idea is they're setting up bigger story beats later on. You know,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. And since we've, buried this one long enough. See what I did there? Ringing Deeps, second zone that we go through. And the transition from sort of the first part of this, Isle of Dorn, now down to the Ringing Deeps, the transition to this was just pretty normal. Go from one quest to another. Put a pin in that for later as we descend down into the Ringing Deeps, and we're introduced to a character who I honestly enjoyed probably more than I should have, which was the High Speaker. As we come to find out, down here in the depths, there's this awakening machine. This is a big sort of point around this plot. Is there's this awakening machine that brings the Earthen out, and there's something wrong with it. We don't know what's going on. There's something wrong with it, but the Machine Speakers are working on it. They're trying to figure it out. And they're looking at the High Speaker going, hey, what's going on? And he's just this pompous piece of shit. And he comes rolling by on his like chariot throne or whatever the hell that was. Basically tells us, don't worry about it. And I love that guy right away. Too bad he doesn't stick around too much. But the main city there, you mentioned it, one in every zone, right? Where the little castle is Gundergaz, which I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's what I'm saying. And we start to get into now this Machine Speaker culture. And we're finding out about the kobolds that are down there and the fucking candles that they got down their head still, and they're still dealing with it. It goes back to like day one Warcraft stuff, and maybe that's why this is bringing such nostalgia, because now we have to go after the fucking Candle King himself. Like, it's just we're bringing some like real old stuff back into this, but we have to go through the zone essentially and figure out with the Machine Speakers what all these various things are that are going wrong in their zone. Not just what's happening with the Awakening Machine, but they have a mining operation that has ceased. There are fog beasts to be found everywhere. And then we come to find out through the series of questing here is that the High Speaker, who I loved so much, got a deal with Xal'atath. Well, shit. Son of a bitch.
Dun, dun.
That memory gem, concept that we were introduced to earlier. Oh, well, shit. Found one down there in a cave, in a water. And it turns out that the High Speaker has made essentially a trade with Xal'atath that, hey, you get this awakening machine going, and yeah, we'll be your people. Jez, would you have made that deal? Was that a good deal?
I don't think it's a particularly good deal, but the void has a way of whispering in people's ears, doesn't it? Seemingly. But this zone had some really cool plot threads, especially if you go into what's it called now? Is it Dark Flame Cleft? I can't remember the name of the dungeon, but it's where you fight the Candle King, and it culminates in the explanation for the whole phrase take candle, the kobold phrase. And obviously at the end of that dungeon you fight what they're afraid of, which they simply call the darkness, which seems to be some kind of crazy void aberration, which we don't even get to kill. It like escapes.
Just
I
launching
think
shit at it.
it's like I think there's something more to that thing, because it has like the mouths all over its face,
Mhm.
reminiscent of Yogg-Saron, which
Mm.
was just the beast of 1,000. What did they call him now? I can't remember. The thousand teeth or something like that. I can't remember what they call Yogg-Saron. But he's got teeth all over his face, and it does have that sort of Lovecraftian energy. But then dude, I've got a question about all this. Because obviously in the other dungeon and the other major plot thread here is the Skardin, which
Yes.
are void corrupted earthen and void corrupted golems and stuff like that. Now, my lore isn't. I'm not a super duper expert at lore like some of the other content creators out there. But didn't Yogg-Saron have to create a whole curse of flesh because he couldn't corrupt earthen because they were made of rock? And he purposefully created the curse of flesh to turn them into things he could corrupt. But now you've got Xal'atath out here corrupting rock and stone and metal like it's no big deal.
That's
like,
just how
yeah.
powerful she is. That's,
So
we gotta ramp it up.
Yeah. So either Blizzard forgot its own lore again, or Xal'atath really is just that powerful. So I think we'll give Blizzard the benefit of the doubt. Let's assume that it just means that Xal'atath really is that powerful.
Just
But,
that damn powerful.
I think this was my favorite zone overall. I think,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I'm going to be in the minority there. But this was the zone that felt most like an actual cavern to me, I think.
Oh yeah.
And you know, it had like the underground waterfalls and you know all the sort of cave stuff in there. There's also a section where you've got these what do they call it now? These are like slime molds hanging down from the ceiling that are like bioluminescent.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible, and it really reminded me of when I was in Iceland. I went through a lava tunnel, which I'm glad I did when I did, because a few weeks later the volcano there erupted. So
Oh Jesus.
I wouldn't have liked to have been in the lava tunnel at that moment.
Probably not.
But it had this like luminescent bacteria in the ceiling of the cave, and it was just like, oh, they've like. This is it just gave me nostalgic feelings of being in a cave, you know. I've known to frequent a few caves in my life, but this is my favorite zone overall. Definitely love it.
Well, it's those kinds of real world experiences, I think, that lend credibility to what they're doing. And I know that they try to, you know, bring in those real life elements, whether it be the environment or animals or plants or something like that. So that's a good vote of confidence for the zone, which the way that they've kind of separated the areas, you know, it's kind of like, you know, blind corners sort of thing, makes the zone feel bigger than it probably is. But the way that they've tiered it, the way that they've kind of separated some areas, there's one quest where you have to go like way the fuck down in one area, and I had no idea that was even there, and I'd been in that area a dozen times already, but didn't know until this one quest. It's stuff like that where, yeah, they knocked it out of the park. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what my favorite zone is, along with every other asshole, but that's a good vote for this one. So let's get to the meat of it here, because in this zone, one of the things that I think I enjoyed most was watching the interplay between Magni and Dagran.
Oh yeah.
And Dagran being, you know, a newcomer on the scene, really, as far as his, I don't know, fully fleshed out character here in the War Within, and Magni, who's going through some shit. We've talked about this before, you know, following all the events of previous expansions. He's been the speaker. He seems to be losing faith. He has a a great conversation with Anduin early on, back in the first part of the campaign when we're on the Isle of Dorne and they're sitting in the inn there, and talking about Anduin's interest in the Arathi and what that might look like. Thread for later. And Magni, he's having a crisis of faith. He got blasted by the one big wave, but we don't know, from Azeroth early on, but we don't really know, what he's doing. And so his concern now becomes Dagran, like keeping Dagran safe. They're off doing shit, keeping Dagran safe. What are we going to do? And so the interplay between them, grandfather, grandson, as somebody who no longer has any grandparents, I felt, I don't know, joy in a way, like watching that interplay of like, yeah, that's awesome watching, these two characters have this interplay at that level of a relationship, grandfather, grandson, teaching things, just so green. I mean, Dagran is so fucking green. But
I'm gonna admit something. Oh, sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm gonna admit something. I cried manly tears at the end of that sequence, but it wasn't because of Dagran. It was because of Moira. Because like there's that story arc with the Bronzebeards has been going on for 20 years. Mm-hmm. Where there's a quest in vanilla where you have to go and rescue Moira from the Dark Iron Dwarves.
Right.
And you get there, and it's like, oh, Moira's like, I left of my own accord because my dad's an asshole, basically.
That's right.
And then I murder her husband on Magni's orders.
Mm-hmm.
As back in the day when I was a Scummy Alliance Paladin, very briefly, and I heard they were overpowered, man. Everyone as the forum was saying, oh, they're overpowered, they can turn invincible, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna turn invincible and kill everyone. But anyway, yeah. So like the to see all that baggage sort of manifests in Magni's whole storyline. Like he's lost his luster and he's not shining diamond anymore, and the weight of the responsibilities, or at least the weight of what he feels is a responsibility, is being placed upon him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just ready to sort of quit, And Azeroth basically lets him go, and then like it's almost like he just sort of has this revelation that he's been a really absent father, Mm-hmm. And I think that'll hit for a lot of people out there. I think it certainly hit for me. So Blizzard's like really stepped up its game when it comes to delivering emotional storytelling, and so often Blizzard fumbles when it comes to these kind of plot devices, as we know over the years. But this is one example where they absolutely fucking nailed it. So I was like crying manly tears, not only because of the story, but I was just like, they handled this so well, and I was just kind of happy for the team. So I felt that joy as well. It was just a great moment. Great moment.
Yeah, the sort of complex family dynamics. I mean, you hit the nail on the head with that, especially with Moira as that additional piece of that, and that whole thing coming together. Now here at the end of the campaign in this particular zone, where we have chased the High Speaker. Now we know about the plot, we know about what's going on. We've chased the High Speaker into the Hall of Awakening, and we're gonna try to stop him. And of course, Xal'atath powered and the whole thing, and he manages to get the black blood or whatever it is. It starts creeping up into the machine, and you can see all the earthen that are in their little cryo prisons or whatever they are, and it's starting to take over all of them, and he disappears just like Eridikron did, like into one of these portals, and you're like, oh shit, it's over. And it's Magni and Dagran and Moira are there, and Magni feels like all his hope is lost. This is it. He's failed. His final failure. He's failed as a father. He's failed as a grandfather. He's failed as a speaker. He's failed all these things. And it's Dagran who, puts his hand on his chest and reminds him, that he has this power within him, this Azeroth power within him, which we saw a brief flash of earlier when we were questing that he's got like a little something that can radiate out of him or whatever it is. And you see him have this moment of clarity where it seems like he connects with Azeroth, the world soul, one more time. And it's one of these it's time moments. And you're like, uh-oh, something. Oh, shit, here it comes. And he sits down or kneels down, and you see just this energy start to radiate out of him. And it takes over the whole hall. It clears out all the corruption. And everybody's like, oh, look, he did it. He saved it. And there he is, fully turned to stone once again. And in that moment, I'm like, man, what the fuck? Like, here's this guy. Here's this character. Originally, this happened to him because he turned to diamond, right? Because he was trying to commune with the spirits. He was trying to save the planet. He didn't know what was going on. And that's what happened. Then he was reawoken. Then he was the speaker. Then he lost his faith, realized he was a shitty family man. You know, he gave one final sacrifice, and now there he is. He's a statue. And Moira and Dagran, they're sad. And I'm sitting there, and man, I'm starting to well up a little bit. And I even texted Terran Gregory, and I was like, how dare you do this to me? This is not right. I'm too old to be crying over fake dwarves and shit. And lo and behold, light starts shining through. And there, boom, there's Magni, fully transformed back into a real life dwarf. And they fucking got me with that swerve, man. And there's no way. I thought he was out. I thought he was gone. I thought that was it. When you come in as an earthen, you like, I don't know, pat him on the head, say thanks, and go off on your adventure. But they got me. They got me with that one. You know, like you mentioned, as we've talked about, the whole family dynamic. To make those connections, to seem like you're making amends, and then to seem like that road was over, and then it wasn't. And I think of all the storylines that we've come across so far, that's the one that has affected me the most, for sure. And Cinematics team stayed all the time, fucking crushed it. It was amazing. What a way to end that zone. Perfect. What'd you think of that?
It's amazing.
Cutscene.
It was spectacular, you know, and like the technology that they now have access to because I remember back in Wrath we had the first pre-rendered in-engine cutscene they'd done, and up until then, like, the only videos we'd really had like that were sort of machinima on YouTube or in the early days of YouTube. And then Blizzard was like, oh, actually we could do this as well, and they did, you know, the whole Wrathgate cinematic. Oh, yeah. From Wrath, you know, and that was just amazing, you know, and with even though it was like, you know, the vanilla graphics, it was still, they had the big budget music, and the right direction was there, but the technology has just never been there to do it in engine until recently. And even though like this cutscene in particular was pre-rendered because there was some special effects in there which they couldn't have delivered in engine, just the fidelity of the facial motion capture they're able to do now, and really expressive emotions, they just couldn't do that before. If you go back and watch Wrathgate now, there's the characters just stone-faced, no expressions, there's no muscles.
It is a product of its time.
It's a product of its time. Exactly, yeah. But now it's like, this is like Disney, Pixar level quality cartoon. It's obviously it's stylized, it's not photorealistic. But it's like we get into that level where people are constantly asking, where's the Netflix show, Blizzard? Where's the Netflix show, Blizzard? Because this is the kind of quality they're pushing now. It's spectacular, man.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Hell of a way to end that zone and to continue to keep that relationship growing and repairing. I thought was great. And keeps, you know, Dagran light, because I think to have to suffer a loss like that early might have fucked him up a little bit, but I'm glad they didn't, so we can keep it going. And from there, we continue our questing adventures in the campaign to my favorite, and I think most people's favorite zone so far, Hallowfall, which is, I don't know. To me, it's one of the most beautiful, inventive things that they've ever done. Trying to, again, make us feel like we're not underground when we are very much underground. And we get introduced through Anduin, who, like mentioned earlier, wanted to see if we could meet these Arathi. and he's working with one of the Earthen leaders, gets him down there. We meet Farron Lothar, which eventually Anduin, finds out her name, and Lothar, like, I'm named after a Lothar, and how is that possible? And we start to find out about this Arathi Empire, and this Arathi Empire across the sea, and if there was not an expansion in the future about another island or a landmass on the back of Azeroth or some shit at this point, I'm gonna eat my fucking hat, because they're dropping every hint possible that something is out there, because the story that Farron tells Anduin essentially is that they were going across the sea. She stowed away. She wasn't even supposed to be there in the first place. And as their fleet got caught in this storm, there was this sort of light that appeared, and they ended up where they are now. They have this giant crystal in the sky. They call it Beladar, this star, whatever they want it is. I feel like probably everybody else is going to say this too, but this thing has to be a Naru, right?
Yeah. You have to look at it like, stand on your head when you're looking at it. Look at it upside down.
Uh-huh.
And then you realize what it is.
Oshugun?
It looks like Oshugun, yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like the Oshugun in Outland or Draenor crashed Naru spaceship, which crashed Draenei spaceship, which are powered by Naru. So, and what we know from Naru are they're sort of like stars. They collapse in on themselves and become void Naru. They're quite dangerous entities, really, and I don't know why we flirt with them so much. I think really what we should be doing, we should be like going full Ghostbuster on those things and trying to contain them. I think the Blood Elves had the right idea. Contain those things. They ain't safe. They are dangerous entities.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's so strange because at the same time, you're trying to think like Velen would know about this. You would have to think Velen would know if a Naru spaceship had previously crashed on Azeroth. So part of me is wondering, like, are they trying to bait and switch us here? Like, there was also a theory that it was the tip of the sword, but we've confirmed that's not the case.
Right.
I think Blizzard pretty much said explicitly, no, it's not the sword. So like, there's like other theories about what the hell it could be, and maybe the whole Naru angle's a bit of a bait and switch, because I would think surely Velen would know. So God knows what other theories there could be. It's clearly some kind of they want us to think it's a Naru, I think, just because of the whole switching from light to dark, and that effect is so badass when it does that.
It's phenomenal.
Like, even though the Ringing Deeps is my personal favorite zone, it's hard not to acknowledge that the best zone objectively is probably Hallerfall. It is so cool. Like, when you've got ray tracing enabled and the light switches, it just looks incredible. Absolutely incredible. And then it affects the whole zone, and all the mobs turn shadow. The water turns voidy as well. It's really cool. And it opens up the possibility to, like, there's all sorts of things they could do with this kind of tech potentially in the future. But I just want to go for a second though, off topic. Yeah. When Beladar does turn to shadow, it spawns a shadow void elemental at a random place in the zone. You know about this, right?
Yes.
And he drops a mount.
Yes.
I've got the mount.
Oh, look at you. You really did know life it.
I really did, yeah. I was on my, it was probably my like maybe 8th or 10th try, but I got the mount. Nice. I did it every few hours, and I'm like, yes, I don't have to do that anymore, because I really wanted that mount. It's a warlock mount, man.
That
But
is
yeah,
a warlock
Halifal's
mount.
incredible.
No, that is, for warlocks out there, yes, this very much should be in your arsenal. It is right up your alley. It is phenomenal. And in case anybody's wondering, there is a cycle timer out there. It looks like once every 3 hours, it'll go dark for 30 minutes. That's the cadence. And yes, it'll be, I think it's just called Belladar Spawn, and it's a rare elite that comes up once every 3 hours. And yes, it has a chance to drop the freaking crazy ass, I don't know. It's an armored void something. What is it? You're the warlock. What is this thing?
Voidwalkers are kind of controversial these days because they used to be categorized as demons, void things, but now they're sort of categorized as aberrations, and it kind of sort of like the shadow entities and void walkers and void entities are sort of like demon adjacent, but they're not considered demons anymore. I have no idea what it is, but if you
it
go
has
to
that kind of look to it.
yeah, if you go to Oshugun in Draenor, there's void elementals walking all over the place too, and especially in Netherstorm as well. Void walkers all over the place. Hellfire Peninsula, there's void walkers all over the place. They seem to just manifest when there's some shadowy, voidy stuff going on, and clearly Belladar is a voidy, shadowy thing. But on that point, not to get too conspiratorial about this, but one thing I've noticed that Blizzard's been doing a lot of recently is they've been making the distinction between void and shadow. Void is blue, shadow is more purple. If you notice, and now that I've said it, you'll start noticing that a lot in game. Like the Skardin are blue, for example.
Yes.
Belladar is purple, shadow.
Yeah.
So like when the Naru fall to shadow, they don't fall to void, they fall to shadow. And there's also like they added a transmog item. I can't remember where you got it from. I think it was part of the Illyria quest. But basically it's like a main hand and an offhand. One of them's purple and one of them's blue. So one of them's void and one of them's shadow. And I'm sitting there thinking, why are they trying to push this distinction between void and shadow? So I don't know. I'm proper tinfoil hatting it now.
No,
maybe there's an explanation, but
I think you're honest. I think you're honest something, because one of the other things I was going to say is that as we go through Hallowfall and we're learning about how the Arathi Empire exists out there and what came to be here, is the reason why this fleet of Arathi was going across the sea was because they were following their Emperor's sacred vision to fight in Renalash, which is supposed to be the final battle between light and dark. So the distinction, that you got me thinking about that now, whereas the void is sort of one type of power maybe, and shadow is something else. Although later on, at the way end of this campaign, we do see Xal'atath, and she seems to be pulling void energy directly from Belladar. So maybe not.
Well, that's what I think it is. I mean, that's basically what she's been doing, is going around creating distractions while she sucks up all this energy. Like the whole attack on Dalaran, the point of it wasn't to attack Dalaran, it was to siphon arcane energy from the main spire.
Yes.
If you notice.
Yes.
And then the whole thing in Halifal, again, it was a big ass distraction, and then she sucks up some of the energy until Illyria gets involved. But that Dark Heart, man, something spooky about it.
Yeah, there is something spooky about it, and we spend through the campaign in Hallowfall, we spend a great deal of time kind of learning about the Arathi culture that's there, and the Lamplighters, and chasing off the dark when Belladar does go dark, and then they have like a protocol. Everybody's got to get indoors. They got to light these lights, and it's like they got a whole reaction that they have to do to it. which I think is again, it's that sort of great immersion that they need to have. Is, you know,
So good.
the environment is changing and other things should change along with it, or else it just feels like, who gives a shit. But as we continue to go through there, we're fighting Nerubians. There's still Nerubians around, and we fight, you know, on this Aegis wall. There's been this, you know, uptick in Nerubian activity, and we don't know why, and they're attacking the shit out of us, and we got to fight back. And this is where I started to get nervous, because now we got a lot of spider stuff happening, and I wasn't so sure about all of that, but the sort of through line in this part of the campaign that I think we all kind of knew was coming. And I will say here, if I was Horde, I would sort of be miffed at the fact that the vast majority of this is an alliance storyline. But a lot of this was again going back to Anduin, which we knew from the beginning, from the great opening cinematic that we had from back at BlizzCon. He's struggling with his connection to the light after everything that happened in the Shadowlands. He doesn't feel he's worthy, can't reach out to the light, all this kind of stuff. And Farron Lothar, who is very much connected to the light, is very much using it to do all the things that she needs to do, proves to be the guide that he needs to start pulling him back in and just reeling him back in from this cliff's edge that he's been at for so long. And there is a point in time where they have to purify this tower that's been all voided up and everything. And she, at his insistence, takes his hand, and you see as the light starts to flow kind of back to him for the first time. And he's surprised, you know, that this has happened, but they have a little conversation, and she says to him, you know, that this is a first step, right? There's more to it than this, but we knew that this part of the storyline was going to play out somewhere. And the way that they had positioned Farron as this, you know, pretty noble leader at this point, I'm a little leery of the Arathi. Anybody that's any group that is that singularly focused on a sort of religious type thing, it always makes me go, It's a fine line between, you know, adherent and acolyte. So it's sort of like, I'm not really sure what else going on there. But I did appreciate seeing how this ultimately did play out, where she's helping him and he's continuing to say, okay, I got to figure out, you know, how this is going to work. Another point in time in the story here that I appreciated was simply just when we went to Mereldar, I think is the name of the town there. And we just stopped and had a drink. That was it.
Oh, that was great.
That was the
I
quest.
love that so much.
Yeah. You loved it. Talk about it.
So there was a couple of times in the game where the heroes just, you can just take a breather, you know, and they sit down and they're like, okay, we're gonna, you know, make dinner and try and, you know, recover and recuperate a little bit. And it was some really great character building moments that have given this story a level of immersion that WoW has never had before. And they started doing this, I want to say they started doing it in Shadowlands, but maybe they started doing it in Battle for Azeroth, where they do these stay a while and listen moments. We need a better name for those moments. Calling them stay a while and listen is like, it's too long. But these, like, I wonder what Blizzard must have a name for them internally. I'll try and find out what it is.
Okay.
But the stay a while and listen moments, like, this was like that, but like the next level. So instead of just like staying there and listening to a conversation, you actually like participate in the conversation. You actually discuss things and stuff like that. There's been a whole load of these moments throughout the War Within that not only, you know, build immersion and your connection with the characters, because like you said, this is an alliance storyline so far, and I should be miffed about it. I don't give a crap about Lyria. And Anduin, he blew up the Undercity, completely unprovoked, completely unnecessary. People said Sylvanas did it, but I think that's fake news. I think Anduin and the Alliance did it with their blight bombs. But you know, they attacked my city. God damn it! But anyway, completely unprovoked. But because of the way it's been delivered, I find myself like really engaged with the storyline, even though it's not. And I'm a Corcoran elite, you know, Garrosh did nothing wrong kind of horde kind of guy. And even I'm like, this is great storytelling. So, but not only that, but like also there's some NPCs where if you're a certain class or a certain race, there's even extra dialogue there for you as well. Like there's an old like Nerubian, like a Nubarak kind of general dude, like an old beetle dude who was present during like the Third War.
Is this the War of the Spider?
Yeah,
that one.
And you if you show up there as a Forsaken, he talks about how much he hates the undead, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, that is like, well, first of all, A, at least I remembered the Forsaken exist for once. And then B, it was like, I love that attention to detail because that is immersive. It connects you to your race and class fantasy. It's role playing. And for so long, I feel like WoW was focused way too hard on the MMO aspect of it and not enough on the RPG aspect of it. So yeah, that little conversation and all the stuff that comes with it, been fantastic.
And I love that you touched on character development in this, where there's another one where you go to the head armorer there, and she's talking about how, Farron, you know, because Farron's only got the one arm. Hey, Farron, you know, I've come up with this great new prosthetic, and I want you to try it. And she's like, no, I don't need it. Give it to somebody who needs it. And it's sort of this very selfless sort of person that they're building her up to be, where she talks about, you know, these other veterans who've lost arms, and, you know, I've got my shield and I'm doing my thing, and that's okay. And she keeps rebuffing these requests from this head armorer, and it is those little moments where if you skip them, you are really doing yourself a disservice in playing this game, because, you know, listen, I've been there. You level up, you blast through it because you're trying to get to the end because you're a raider and you want to do a thing or whatever, and it's just, or it's the dopamine rush of like completing a quest. That's all you want to do. This game, especially this expansion, is proving to be so critically story centric that you have to do it. Like, it's like, why the fuck are you even playing if you skip through this stuff? Because they really are hitting another gear, and it's phenomenal. Even just, you know, gotta go to like an orphanage and you gotta play games with kids, and Farron's reading a story to them, and I mean, it's just these little quiet moments like this. Like, holy shit, we've killed gods, we've been to the afterlife, we've done like all this major crazy shit, and like, yeah, I'm playing a game of hide and seek with this random kid in this town I just came into. Like, it's just like, all right, we're doing this. So the culmination of this zone as we move along here is they're fighting back against this group of I don't know, I can't remember what they call them, but they're like
Twilight's Hammer from Wish.
There it is. There you go. And
Timu's Hammer.
What's it? Timu's Hammer.
Timu's Hammer. Twilight.
Perfect. Timu. Hey, we've been calling the Timu Bloodline over on SmackDown if you want that. Anyway, Elric's the main guy that they propped up, and we gotta beat him up and try to drive back the Void, and of course we do. And then that starts to lead us into Azj-Kahet, and in Azj-Kahet, there's more spiders, and essentially we begin with Anduin disappearing after a fight. We're on the ship and there's spiders and shit's happening, and Anduin falls out, and is this where he does the Varian thing?
Yes, that's where he does the Varian thing.
Where, if you recall, as Jez said from Legion, when Varian jumps off the ship and goes, sword down right on that Fell Reaver or whatever that thing was.
Garothi what are they called? Garothi war machines or something?
Is that what it was?
I'm being super nerdy now, but
no, you got it. Anduin tries to do the same thing. Like it's move for move. It's like the same kind of thing because, you know, this is the moment that he thinks he needs to do because he can't use the light anymore. So this is what we got to do. But he gets overtaken by a swarm of Nerubians or whatever. I'm like, oh, shit. So we got to go find him. We meet Orwina, who is a Haranar. Haranier. And we start making our way through Azj-Kahet. We find ourselves aligning with one of the factions because, of course, all Nerubians aren't the same. This is one of the things that we're learning is although we've been fighting them forever, have to make some of them not bad. They're all still scary to me, but some of them aren't bad. And we end up meeting one of them who is Widow Arachne. And she has her own lair off in one area, and that's where our sort of main area is. And we find out she is a follower of Queen Neferes, who we saw in that cinematic was, we thought, killed by Ansarek, her daughter, who was, you know, being corrupted or giving herself over to Xal'atath. And so this is sort of the main stage for this part of the campaign. Is now we're fighting back against the other Nerubians. She wants to enact revenge for Neferes' death because she was a follower of hers. And we spend a good majority of this zone being covered in spider spooge because it, like, you know, makes us smell right so we can get past certain people. And the City of Threads, where we have to spend a lot of time, right? You're moving around, you're meeting certain people. It's kind of like Suramar where there's guards, and if you follow within the circle, you get found out. You meet Gazlowe. Gazlowe's there. Gotta be happy about that.
Oh, yeah.
Gazlowe shows up.
We love Gazlowe.
He's quite something. And as we work our way through there, we find out that Anduin, right, has not been kidnapped by the baddies. He has in fact aligned himself with these good folks that we meet out there. And as we continue to fight, what's that? The rebels.
Spider rebels.
Spider rebels. The through line through all of this, we haven't really talked about much about her, is Illyria. And the single-minded focus that she has on getting to Xal'atath. That's like the one thing going through all of this is I gotta get Xal'atath. I gotta get Xal'atath. You killed Khadgar. You killed my boy. You blew up my city. I'm fighting off the void, and she's whispering shit to me. And, you know, that's the through line through all of this. And it does culminate eventually in her giving our position away as she shoots at I guess is it Ansarek? I don't remember. It's the day of Ascension where she's gonna show herself off and they're gonna do their whole thing, and Anduin's like, let's not do this. And like, no, fuck it, we do. We have to go through a scenario. We have to fight through the city. We escape. You know, she jumps off the edge, gives him the finger, whatever it is. But within this whole situation, I believe we find out. I'm looking through my notes here. Oh, maybe that comes. Yeah. So we've made our foothold there in Azj-Kahet, and yeah, that's all I can really say about that. I don't really remember too much more. I'm gonna be real with you. I kind of sped through this as fast as I could because I wanted to get the fuck out of there. So
spiders.
I'm doing you a bit of disservice. But this one ends with us in the scenario running through City of Threads, fighting a bunch of spiders and jumping out. And then we end up, of course, back in Dornogal, where if you're max level now, you can continue to play through the campaign. And our allies have showed up. Hey, we got reinforcements. Look at that shit. Thrall showed up. Jaina showed up. We got forces. They're training on a beach somewhere. They're yelling at each other. Some really hilarious shit, which I enjoyed them talking trash, Horde and Alliance. That was fun. You know, that's the war back in Warcraft, Jez. That's what we were looking for. I know they're going to eventually fight together against, you know, the forces of Queen Ansarek and the Nerubians and Xalatath and all that. But at least for one brief shining moment, they're talking shit. And I know we got to trade them, but at least you got it. At least you got some of it.
Yeah. I mean, the whole Ashkahet zone, like, a lot of people have been comparing it to Suramar, and it is hard to ignore the parallels there. It's a very detailed zone. It's got the guards, it's got the sneaking around, it's got the rebel insurrection against the corrupted monarch kind of thing, you know. The parallels are undeniable, but it just works really well. And I think, like, in this universe that we're in, it just tends to happen, you know, in World of Warcraft, you know, where, you know, if one power becomes dictatorial, then potentially you're gonna have, you know, rebels. I mean, we've dealt with Garrosh, we've dealt with Sylvanas, we've dealt with, you know, Suramar. It's always Horde for some reason. I guess that means in Nerubian they're Horde coded. But soon we'll be dealing with Turalyon, probably becoming a dictator. You know, that's. I wonder. that's my headcanon. But yeah, it's the zone was really good overall. I do have to say though, it's quite a security flaw that, like, no matter what you look like, the spiders know that you're not a spider. But as long as you smell like one, they're cool with it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're blatantly a goblin, but you smell right, so that's okay. That is a security, militarily speaking, that's a significant security problem, I would think.
It does seem like an oversight, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. But that's how that's how ants work. If you didn't know this. So like ants, right? If you've got two ant colonies that are exact same species, they can tell if you're the right. They can tell that you're from their colony if you smell right. So they come up to the ant and they rub their antennae over them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you pass the check." And if you don't pass the check, that will rip your arms and legs off and kill you. And I know this because I am a frequent viewer of the YouTube channel Ants Canada, which I highly recommend. Very good channel. And now I know everything about ants, and then by extension, Nerubians. I'm an expert of Nerubian biology now because of this.
I better hire you.
Maybe. But yeah, I thought this zone overall was really good. It's and you know, you mentioned the Illyria. Did you mention that Illyria fires the arrow, right?
Yeah.
And then we sort of find out something even more devastating, and that this the fate of Nephris. I don't know.
Yes.
Did you mention that part?
Haven't gotten to that because I think that is that part of the what I was looking at. I think that's part of the end max level campaign.
I suppose the other main part about this zone, which I thought was really interesting, is the parts of the zone that are infested with black blood. Yeah. Which is not a new concept to WoW. You know, much like friendly Nerubians aren't a new concept either. There is a faction of friendly Nerubians in Wrath who give us quests to kill undead Nerubians. But there's also this concept of Saronite from Wrath, which was the crystallized blood of Yogg-Saron. And then the Lich King went and made his whole fortress out of Saronite, which, you know, has a sort of corrupting effect on its citizens. There's some quests in Wrath where you go into a cave and it's just full of faceless ones and old god tentacles and all kinds of stuff, because that's where the Vrykul, the undead Vrykul, are mining the Saronite to build Icecrown Citadel's defenses. And Yogg-Saron's blood is just going haywire over there. And it's back when, like, WoW's story was a little bit more chaotic and all over the place, and we just kind of infer things a little bit more than you do now. Yeah. But it is this concept of the very dead, even a dead old god is still a huge threat to Azeroth. And one of the things we know from the lore is that the Titans, when they first came to Azeroth, they found the old gods infesting the planet, and the Black Empire spread across the planet. And they, you know, they're planet-sized. The Titans are like when you look at Sargeras in the Legion cutscene, you get an idea of how big a Titan is actually supposed to look. And I believe was it Khaz'goroth? I think he literally reached down onto Azeroth and grabbed Y'Shaarj and ripped her out of the planet. But the problem is when he ripped her out, it's similar to like why like if you've got a cancerous mole, you can't just cut it off. It has to be frozen and then surgically removed, because if you rip it off, the cancerous cells will potentially spread into your bloodstream, right? And it's a similar kind of concept. They rip Y'Shaarj out, and now Y'Shaarj's blood and entrails have basically blighted the land of Pandaria now. And this is a similar kind of concept, is that in Azj-Kahet, there's all this black blood that's gathering underground in these like festering pools, and it's even created an alternative reality called the Unseeming, which is what the Haranir deal with. And the Haranir, these sort of trolly, elvy, they're night elf models, but they have troll tusks and ears. So they're kind of like the missing link between elves and trolls, I think. But they're sort of dealing with this black blood stuff, and it's created like what they call the Unseeming. And as if like if you spend too much time with this radioactive sludge, which has started literally poisoning the landscape, turning it purple, tentacles growing out the walls, and crazy fauna. Looks very much like N'Zoth's boss room, to be honest. And you have to remember, like, the whole N'Zoth raid takes place in an alternative universe, alternative vision, because
right,
the Black Empire and what the old gods can do is they basically put you in the Matrix. You're basically enslaved, but your brain goes into their hive mind, and that seems to be what the Black Blood is starting to recreate now. So there's all these plot threads sort of spinning a web, to use a spider analogy. Yeah. It's weaving a web across the storyline, and even in like the little pockets, because it's just a little quest area, this place with the Black Blood. But there's also like these roots, which seem to be the roots of an old world tree.
Yeah.
In lore, there's also a destroyed world tree, which I think was lost, and they don't know where it is. So this could be the roots of that old world tree, and that's been infested by the Black Blood now as well. It's wild, man. The amount of implications that are sort of percolating through all these zones, especially if you are someone who's into the lore and that kind of stuff. But if you're not, you can just go to the zone, skip all that stuff, just grind out the dailies, and there's plenty of them to do. They're all about killing spiders, though, mostly.
That part I like. That part. Yeah. Sort of speed run through what's left of the campaign. So once you reach max level, which you can't reach max level just doing the campaign quest, you gotta do some other stuff. Again, recommend doing that anyway because it's fucking rad. But we end up essentially marshaling our forces. Reinforcements come. We train them up. We head on down to Azj-Kahet, where, as you mentioned, we find out that Queen Neferes is in fact not dead, but instead the first ascended and turned into this giant fucking behemoth. I don't know, beetle of some. I don't even know what you call this thing, but it's she's enormous. She's got fangs and spikes and horns and pretty fucking crazy. And that's what actually happened. So she's still alive, and that has implications because now, you know, people that were with the sort of guide that we have wants to try to save her, and that doesn't really work out well for her right away. And then we end up talking to the machine speakers some more. We got to get some golems. We got to get some forces going. And I'm really just speed running all this so we can get to the end, which is chapter 5, which is the one that we just had this past week, where we finally have a showdown with Xal'atath that to me feels meaningful, in the sense that we end up at the Priory of the Sacred Flames. We're in Hallowfall. Beledar is dark, and we try to go in there, and that's where Neferess in her, beetle bug giant behemoth form, whatever it is, we fight her. We don't kill her. We leave her alive. Whatever her giant body is, we leave her alive. And we end up going in there, and there's a wonderful cinematic that plays where Illyria shoots her shot. Xal'atath, you can't kill me. He's like, I'm not aiming for you. And she hits the new demon soul. What are we calling this thing? Remind me.
The Dark Heart.
Yeah. Hits it. Starts to shatter. You don't see it actually shatter, but it starts to crack.
Cracks.
And major
Cracks,
crack.
Yeah.
And we see Xal'atath's cool, get broken for the first time. And she's like, this isn't the end. And we see her get angry for the first time, which is kind of cool. And she goes into one of these warp looking bubble things. And then boom, it spits out. She disappears, but it spits out this ghostly raven form. And then laying there on the floor, transformed, is Khadgar, who says one final thing to Illyria about, I knew you could do it, and then he dies. And you're like, oh, I knew he lived, and then, oh my God, he dies. And then Illyria, sad, holding Khadgar, oh my God, he died. And there's Anduin standing there. And I'm like, come on, my boy. This is the time. This is the time and place. Come on. I'm yelling at my screen as this is playing. I'm like, come on, my dude. Now's the moment. Was fucking around. This is it. This is the time. Come on, man. And then the music hits, and it's the fucking Stormwind Human Alliance music. And I'm like, he's gonna do the thing. And he kneels down. He puts his hand on Khadgar. The music's playing, and it's the Anduin theme. And the light comes down, and oh yeah, Khadgar's alive. And I was like, this is the best shit ever. God, I fucking love this game. I was like, Finally, Anduin has his moment of yes, the light is with him, and not just, I don't know, momentarily. He finally did something legit with it, and that's gotta pay some big dividends here. And Illyria, making a wise choice in terms of what she wants to do in terms of confronting Xal'atath. So as far as the storyline goes, that's where we are at the moment, heading into the raid. That when this episode launches, the raid starts tomorrow. Nerebar Palace, and we'll talk about that next time. But essentially, that is the giant arc. And again, I know we sped through this to a great degree because there is a lot to cover here. But that is, in a nutshell, the story arc that we've gone to, going from Isle of Dorn down into Ringing Deeps, through Hallowfall, across Azj-Kahet, and then back up and down a bunch of times to confront Xal'atath and marshal our forces. To the point where we've damaged the Dark Heart. Don't know exactly what that means. And Xal'atath has seemingly disappeared for the moment while we go deal with some Nerubian antics. Well, we got Khadgar. Got him back. Happy about that. And seems like we're on good footing for the moment. And otherwise, a solid campaign. Solid leveling campaign. Pace was good. Story was great. Had a wonderful time. I look forward to going through it with my alts and getting additional XP percentage because I've already leveled 1, and that's a nice little bonus for your warband, getting the increased XP as you go. But overall, I thought it was A to Z a pretty good experience. I'd give this one a solid 9 out of 10. Maybe a 9.5 out of 10, and that only half point or 1 point is just because of spiders. That's it. Everything else, absolutely loved it. And I know your official. I know you're working on your official review post. Has that gone live yet? Or are you still in the process of editing that?
I'm still writing it.
Okay.
I'm in two minds. Either I publish it earlier as a review in progress, and then because what I usually do is wait for season 1 and complete the raid before I put a score on it. I feel like the raid gives you the full package kind of experience, at least for me.
Yeah. Okay.
But as of right now, I'm hovering overall, the story and the design of the world those are 9 out of 10s for me, definitely. But like, there are some systemic things which I think knock it down a bit for me. And one of them is the hero talents. I'm really worried that hero talents will become this sort of Covenant-esque system where you have to trade aesthetic for DPS. And I think with hero talents, that's a huge deal because as a warlock, not so much of a big deal if I'm trading like one demon for another one. But if I'm like a marksmanship hunter, for example, I have to choose between being an evil dark ranger or being an elf sentinel. So like, it's a huge dichotomy of aesthetic choice there, you know, on the level that Covenants were, where it was like, well, I don't want to be like the best DPS option for Warlock during the Covenants was the stupid fairy people, the Night Fae, to get soul rot, right? And I was just like, there ain't no way I'm gonna join that Covenant. So I played suboptimally the whole expansion, and it felt bad. Didn't feel good. And I'm worried that hero talents for some classes are gonna end up being like that again, where it's like, I don't want to be a Dark Ranger, but I got no choice because it's giving me.
You and I did talk about at the beginning. It sounds like there's been some changes though.
Yes, there has been some changes. So like, I mean, that was my other complaint. My other complaint was that some of them were just half baked, and like a Dark Ranger, for example, being one of them, they didn't really have any graphics, and the spec didn't work very well. It just didn't feel finished, you know? There was no animations really for it, or very, very light animations. Whereas like, you know, I talked about it before, but like my Warlock, summon a goddamn Pit Lord now. Huge, flashy Pit Lord that shoots a gigantic green laser beam across the screen. And then like Dark Ranger just gets this piddly little shadowy line that comes out every now and then. Well, like my Disc Priest can summon a black hole, for God's sake. And then like
more than I'm getting, all of it. I'm not getting anything.
Slayer just spins a lot, right? The Warrior Slayer.
We get an extra spin. That's it.
You get the spinner. Bladestorm becomes useful, but that's what I mean. Some of them are really flashy and impressive and interesting, and others just don't feel finished.
No.
But it looks like Blizzard's taken that feedback on board because they've completely rebuilt Dark Ranger from the ground up. They've changed every single talent in that tree, and also added shitloads of new animations for it. So now Black Arrow not only has replaced Killshot, but it also has a new graphic, which looks great. But also there's this like, they've borrowed Sylvanas's Banshee form, where like the black tendrils come out of her back. And that now happens when you're using Black Arrow as well. So you get that Sylvanas fantasy with Dark Ranger now. Whereas before you just got Black Arrow, which hunters used to have anyway. But it's like, you know. So it does look like they're working on some of this stuff, and they're looking at which talents, hero talent trees are maybe underbaked and stuff like that. So if we're talking like system stuff, right now I'm hovering around an 8 because I'm not that impressed with the hero talents. Yeah. And I'm really in two minds about delves. Like, will they become repetitive and all that kind of stuff? But also, like, when I'm reviewing a game, I really have to think about it from every angle. And I think the new player experience in WoW is still terrible. You know, like, it's like, yeah, okay, now when you make a new character, they send you off to Dragonflight, which is much better than Battle for Azeroth, which was in the middle of a saga. But even Dragonflight's like, it's still a bit weird compared to like how it used to be, where you go through your racial storyline, doing low stakes local stuff, and then you go and meet your faction leader, and they send you to Silverpine Forest or something like that, and you collect 15 pumpkins, and you eventually build up to becoming the god killer, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like now it's just like, okay, you go into Dragonflight and you are already the champion. I don't think that's a good way to immerse new players. So I have to take that into consideration too when I'm reviewing the whole package. But it's just an expansion for right now. I'm hovering around an 8 just because I'm still not sure about Delves. I'm not sure about hero talents. But the story, and most of this discussion has been about the story. The story's been phenomenal. The graphics are phenomenal. The art's phenomenal. The acting and the music, even the music feels like it's took a step up.
Yeah.
Like it feels like there's more dynamic music now, which ramps up in intensity over the course of a boss fight. I don't know if I'm imagining that or not, but it feels like even the music's had a pass as well. So, a lot of stuff to love, and overall, it's been the best introduction to an expansion ever, probably for me.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
I miss Legion. So.
No, I agree. There's just I'm terrible about being able to pinpoint exactly why some things work and some things don't. But there is just something of this. Maybe it is, and I've said this before, maybe it is the Mets and Magic. I don't know. But there is something that just feels better, different, whatever it is. Like I'm so invested. Like I said at the top, I've fallen back in love with World of Warcraft in a way that I haven't in a very long time, and it's nice. It's so surprising, and I'd even talked about this with my wife before the expansion launched. I was like, man, you know, I really hope this one hits. I really hope this one hits, because I'd kind of been in a place just in my brain generally, and it really, that, I don't know, that weekend just really lifted me up, and it was very, very welcome. And before we move on to our for the last item for the day, I wanted to give a special shout out, if they ever listen to this, to the quest team. A lot of the side quests are fun and interesting in their own ways, but there was one in particular on the Isle of Dorn that I've seen a lot of people comment about, and I just wanted to put my piece on it too. There's one where you're helping this Earthen who essentially is losing his memories and wants to do a planned shutdown. And, you know, obviously real life corollary to this is, you know, people that you may know in your life that, you know, have some sort of degenerative situation, in this case particularly, you know, neurologically. People that you know that have, you know, Alzheimer's or dementia or these kinds of things, and this character realizes that, and you're helping them carry out kind of their final vision for things, and you end up, you know, being there when this shutdown happens and going through that whole thing. Anybody I think that's been through a similar experience in their real life, I mean, I knew where it was going and I knew what was happening, but it you know, I just had to do the, you know, funeral service for my grandparents last month, and my grandfather had a very similar kind of condition before he passed, specifically, and you know, just the timing, subject, the care with which it was addressed. It was such a home run and so unexpected, and it was not part of the main campaign. It was just something that was there, and I credit to whoever came up with that. That was unreal and so spot on, and spoke to a place I did not expect. It surprised the shit out of me in a good way, in a hard way, but in a way that I'm appreciative to have experienced in this game, in World of Warcraft. I'm having this emotional experience about this side quest that has nothing to do with being a god killer or a universe saver or nothing. You're helping this one individual who is at the end of their life go out in their way, on their terms, and you're helping make sure that they take care of it, which to me, that was always what kept me centered when I had to, you know, for lack of a better way of saying it, I'm sort of my family's spokesperson. So if you're being married or buried, I'm the one that's performing the service. That may not come as a surprise to some people, but I've always felt like, particularly when I've had to bury relatives, that it was my duty to make sure that everything that they wanted, everything that they needed to have happen, that I made sure that happened. and that it's like a sacred responsibility that they may not be here to know that it happened, but that before they lost the ability to know, that they would have been comforted by the fact that I made sure and my family made sure that things that they wanted happened. And I'm happy to say in a weird way that has come to pass. I've always been able to do that. So then to see that reflected in my hobby of choice, some powerful shit. I just was really appreciative of that. And I'm sure you saw, I know you saw that quest too, because you cleared it all out, but credit to the team for coming up with those. Were there any special side quests that hit you at all in a particular way?
Well, that one especially, that was very poignant. And I have similar experience with my grandparents, as well in that context. And it kind of reminded me of the some of the little stories in Dragonflight as well, where I think like Blizzard just like lets some of the team just cook in a small side quest, and it really shows like someone really put their heart into this. There's some lighter ones that I thought were really funny. There's like in Azkahet, there's a spider therapy group with a spider called Mr. Sunshine, which I thought was hilarious for one thing. But there's a spider in there who's got a phobia of creatures with 2 legs.
Oh yes, right.
And the spider's like, oh my god, it's like someone's pulled all your arms and legs off. You've already got 2 legs left. And then and I thought that was it was kind of fun. It was a fun way to look at phobias, because I am someone who I used to be deathly afraid of spiders, because I'm a city boy and don't see spiders very often.
Yeah.
And like, when I was growing up, when my mom saw a spider, she'd go screaming. So I just sort of like, oh god, spiders, something to be scared of, So I inherited it. But then like when I started living with my girlfriend in South Germany in the countryside, there's spiders everywhere. So I had to, I think there's like, I'm looking up at the ceiling. There's like 4 or 5 in here that I can count right now. So I kind of had to I've had to learn to get used to spiders living here. And exposure therapy genuinely works. It's genuinely
exposure therapy.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I need.
As a promise, when I was visiting family in England over the summer, there was a spider on the wall. I was able, for the first time in my entire life, to pick it up with my hand and get rid of it like that, instead of trying to get a vacuum or something, So I've kind of like, that was kind of a fun quest to play through as well. But there's a lot of quests like that where, a lot of the earthen lore and because they've had to establish a lot of new lore for how earthen work. They're made of rock, so do they eat? They're dwarfs, so they drink alcohol. But how does it affect them? There's like a lot of text files in games which explain their physiology, and like the Titans made it so they don't need to eat, but they can eat if they want to, and they can enjoy flavors and they can get intoxicated. The Titans made them that way for some reason. So like there's tons of lore which goes through all this, and the life and death cycle of the earthen, how they're sort of, their brains kind of work like a hard drive, like an old school hard drive, or a solid state hard drive, where like eventually you run out of read writes over thousands and thousands of years. The SSDs eventually fail because they've run out of read write, and then they're supposed to go into that machine, the Awakening machine, to get defragged, basically. Yeah. But the machine's been broken. So like a lot of those earthen have just been gradually losing their memory and nowhere to write new memories to, and basically having a experience not akin to dementia, which is it's crazy, man. It's really great to see them weave these sort of stories into the context of WoW in a thoughtful way, and give representation to things that are going to affect everyone. I can see like edgy teens being like, "Oh, this quest is dumb" or whatever. But like when they get to our age and they're starting to see like their folks get older or their grandparents get older, a lot of these kind of stories, like, they'll hit, man. They hit different. And I think Blizzard's grown up with its audience too. And they know that we've grown up as well. We're all old now. Like, everyone in my guild is over 30, pretty much.
Yeah.
And the game's adapted for us. So yeah, it's been a great experience. It's the first expansion ever that I've done the Lore Walker achievement in. I've done every single quest in the whole game.
Wow.
The first time ever that I've done that in expansion, ever. Because there was just so much good stuff to find.
Ever there was a stamp of approval, I think that's probably it. I mean, you've seen it all, man. So
I've seen the whole game, and I've done the achievements to find all those logs, the text files, and all the lore. Done all that, read it all, done every single quest, and I've never done that before. Never been that invested. So shout out to Blizz. They absolutely knocked it out of the park with all that stuff.
That's awesome. Well, as all of you continue to play through, you heard what we have to say about it and our high praise and some of the critiques, but really enjoy it. Enjoy the experience. You never know what's going to come next. We have no idea what Midnight's going to be like, or the Last Titan, or the however many expansions come after that. But right now, this experience, the War Within, it is about as good as I think we can ask for. So really, really try to enjoy it. And as this episode drops on Monday the 9th, tomorrow, if you're listening to it on Monday, tomorrow the 10th, taking the next step, which is the opening of the new raid, season 1, the Narubar Palace. There's 8 bosses in this sucker. And on this Tuesday, there'll be normal, heroic, and LFR Wing 1 opening up. Mythic dungeons will be available. Tier 4 and above delves will be unlocked. There's also a new seasonal cave. PvP, you've got a new arena and battleground season in rated battleground, solo queue, whatever that is. Enjoy PvP. I don't do it. You know it. Technically, PvP is your source for all things PvP. Go over there, talk to those boys. And then next week, September 17th, Mythic difficulty for the raids. Story mode. I'm definitely going to check out story mode, so we'll talk about that on the next episode. LFR Wing 2, Mythic plus difficulty on dungeons. And then after that will be LFR Wing 3, September 24th. So that's your next sort of content rollout there, most immediately getting the raids going. And there'll be other things going on. There's there's a Mythic Dungeon Invitational, I think, that's coming up. There's a bunch of that kind of activity that's going to be happening out there in the community. So keep your eyes open. More than that, though, we've been waiting, and this will be the last thing we talk about today. We've been waiting for a while to hear about the 20th anniversary plans for World of Warcraft, because 20 years, bro. This game's been around 20 years. And we're like cooking at an all-time level. That just tells you how special this situation is, folks. So they had a WoWcast. Blizzard did. They put out a WoWcast, and they talked about what the 20th anniversary for us is going to bring. First and foremost, what they're bringing is some badass art. If you've never looked before, there is a press room for Blizzard. It's a website you can go to, where if you like all of this art that they put out, whenever there's like a new patch or whatever, you can download a lot of that shit on their website. And right now, the 20th anniversary piece that they have is fucking phenomenal. It's got like all these, great baddies of the past and our current heroes, and the art style and the whole way that they did it's phenomenal. So the art, you're getting that gift right out of the gate. That's great. The big thing that they told us is that the anniversary is essentially going to be a patch, like one of these sub patches, it looks like. It'll be running from November through December. There's going to be a new currency for all kinds of stuff. They're going to be upgrading Tier 2 transmog to current fidelity, I guess, if you want to say that. There'll be some classic dungeons and time walking. Blizzard Employee Service Award cosmetics will be available if you've ever seen the sword or the ring or the helm that they get after so many years of service. There'll be some stuff going on in Caverns of Time. Chromie's going to be doing some shit. There'll be some bosses, some new bosses that will be beaten out there in the world. Shaw of Anger and Archivon will be back for us. And apparently there will be some other things to come that we don't quite know about. Seems like they're teasing. But one of them that we do know in the trading post, some Warcraft 3 themed back appearances, which look pretty sweet. But a lot of it is revolving, it looks like, around some old school stuff, including the Black Rock Depths raid dungeon. So we're going way back, Jez. They're going way back to the ye olden days and bringing it up to the future. What do you think about all this?
Yeah, man. Like, I wasn't a big fan of the Warlock Tier 2 set. So when I first saw that Judgment Spalder tease on Twitter, I was like, oh, that's cool, you know, for people who did have a cool set.
Yeah.
But the Tier 2, the remade Warlock Tier 2 looks much better. And I didn't realize how, like, a lot of the modern sets have these 3D parts on them to make them pop a little bit more. Whereas armor sets back then, they were basically just like, they were just painted on the character's model, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, they look fantastic. One thing that worries me about it though, is that this patch is supposed to drop in November, and it's not season 2, which makes me think like, damn, are we going to be in season 1 until 2025? That's like a long season potentially. I doubt they're going to drop season 2 in December. They'll be on Christmas leave then. So are we going to be waiting until January or February for the next season? That's a long time for one season, man. But maybe they, I don't know. Maybe they think like delves and will get people through. Or maybe this time around they want to get more people through to Mythic. Because one thing that my guild's just never done is Mythic. Because it's historically been such a step up in time investment to do Mythic raiding. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see it play out. But that's the first thing I thought was like, oh, that's a bit strange. A patch in November, which I would have thought would have been season 2. But Blackrock Depths is one of the best dungeons they've ever made. This will be the second time they've actually updated the raid. It was a raid. It was a 10-man raid back in the day. Or am I getting it mixed up with Blackrock Spire? Maybe Blackrock Depths wasn't a raid, or maybe it was. Blackrock Spire was a raid. You could 10-man LBRS and UBRS.
Right.
But maybe not Blackrock Depths. But it's the second time they've given it a sort of facelift. I think they did it in Cataclysm as well. Added some new bosses in there, made it a little bit easier to navigate and stuff like that. So I think it's pretty cool, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, oh no, 10-man raid? That means our raid team will be split in half, maybe? And then one team won't have the right composition or not an optimal composition, and some people will want to be in the other raid with their friends. So I don't know, like the smaller raids kind of make me nervous. I kind of wish that they'd just either gone whole hog and made it a full-blown 25-man raid or something. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just overthinking it or being cynical. But it seems like they've gone all out for this 20-year anniversary celebration. There's a ton of activities, and I do want to collect the sets. I want to get them mini pets. The little pets they've announced look really cool, especially for warlocks. There's like a bunch of demon mini pets, which I thought, oh, this is for me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. And hopefully it won't just be Dark Ranger that gets some updates. Maybe Slayer will get some updates as well.
I mean, I'm here for it, baby. I'm here for it. And I know we talked about this too, so maybe this will be the last thing. So yes, 20th anniversary stuff coming. You know, we'll keep an eye out on the actual dates and how that sub patch or whatever it is ends up rolling out. You had mentioned at the same time that they did this cast that they announced the 20th anniversary, they also showed these shaman but ascended forms that have
God.
like the shock. And I guess people don't like. I thought they were kind of cool, but apparently people hate them. Is that right?
Dude, they look awful, man. I mean, they're okay if you're a troll. If you're a troll shaman, they kind of match the troll silhouette. But if you're a Tauren, why are you ascending into something skinny and small? Or if you're like any one of these other, if you're a dwarf, why do you suddenly morph into a humanoid, or like a human? The problem with the shaman ascendant forms is that the talent was lazy from day one. The whole ascendant thing is from Cataclysm, when the Twilight's Hammer cult were mixing with elements and making voidy elemental creatures. And Blizzard was like, oh, well, we'll slap that on shamans as a talent. It didn't make a whole lot of sense even back then. The shamans to become Twilight Hammer old god things, frankly. So I think Blizzard needs to go back to the drawing board a bit on these and actually think about, why are we even doing ascended models in the first place? Because most people were hoping they would look like Dathia from Dragonflight, where it's basically like you look like yourself still, but you have like an elemental around you or something. There used to be a glyph, which instead of turning into the Ascendant, you just sort of got like a elemental shadow form kind of thing. I don't know why they didn't think about this more, but the backlash has been pretty strong, and I would hope that Blizzard gives people the option not to use them, because right now all the meta builds have Ascendance form in it. Yeah, so people ain't happy about it, because you could avoid it, but now you kind of can't if you want to min-max. So
maybe they can loop it into arachnophobia mode and you turn into a giant lobster instead. Solve all your problems.
Kind of fits Resto Shaman a bit, I suppose.
There you go. Well, good luck to all you shaman out there. I don't know what to tell you, because Slayer Warriors ain't getting shit. I'd take an ascended form of something. Again, the shadowy form of some famous warrior of past. Turn me into Garrosh for all I give a shit. At least it's something. Oh well. Anyway. All right. I think we've done enough damage for one episode. For those who don't already know, where can the good people find you on the internet, Jez?
I am over on WindowsCentral.com and also on Xbox 2 podcast if you're interested in the Microsoft ecosystem beyond Blizzard. Technically, Blizzard's the Microsoft ecosystem now, like it or not. and also on Twitter, at JezCorden, JZCYDEN, although increasingly I'm using threads.net instead of Twitter, like a lot of people right now. So if you don't like Twitter anymore, like nobody really likes Twitter. Nobody ever really liked Twitter, but even so, even less than usual now. I'm over on Threads as well, but yeah, and also here on Shackled Fury.
Right on. Thank you, my friend. And my thanks to all of you for listening. And remember, you can always follow me and this show on the aforementioned Twitter at Berserker Rage and Unshackled_Fury, on Blue Sky at Berserker and Unshackled Fury, as well as on Twitch at Unshackled Fury and Real Berserker. I do not have a Threads. Maybe I ought to make one for the show finally. You can also join our Discord, links for which are in the profile of the show on Twitter and on our bonus roll page. Feel free to contact the show with your questions, comments, or otherwise through any of those resources or on shackledfury.com. And you can find this show wherever you get your podcasts. But once again, thank you for listening. Remember to keep your swords wet and your banners high, and we'll see you next time. Farewell.